There's such a thing as
Identify yourself.
John McGowan, Bethel, Connecticut,
Address?
8 Fairchild Drive.
Go ahead.
Page 6 of your own rules and regulations. You reference no programs which contain any material otherwise unprotected by the Constitution of the United States. Big T Show has freedom of speech and freedom of press, both of which are in the Constitution. I think the board seems to have forgotten that. Before I continue, let me pass this out. I'm requesting these 3 copies under the Freedom of Information Act. Copies of all complaints that have been sent to you guys, both written about the Big T Show, any memos, notations, documentation, and recordings of verbal complaints, both in person or over the phone, pertaining to the Big T Show. And please provide any other supporting documentation that resulted in the transferring of the Big T Show time frame. Now, I'm not the producer of the Big T Show. Therefore, if you will not accept that from me, there's 3 copies for T to sign. You can accept his copies.
What is your association with Brother?
I'm the co-host. So I appreciate.
Your name on the contract?
No, it's not. But I am, as you suggested, a resident of Bethel. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, Robin? Okay. You had suggested earlier that the rules of Comcast are very important to you guys, and they should be followed. Under the major violations, minor violations, the first one is a written warning. On page 18, section C, section 2. T was given a written warning on June 13th. On June 21st, he was moved to a different time slot. But there's a second part here, 2B, which says second violation, a written warning marked second notice. 2C, third violation, written warning marked third notice and 30-day suspension from use of Comcast facilities. Section 2D, the fourth violation, written warning marked fourth notice and a 90-day suspension from community access facilities. There is no section E that says you should be moving a show's time frame.
What was the penalty for point 2?
Point 2?
Yeah.
Second violation?
Yeah.
Written warning marked second notice, which to my knowledge he never received. Now, if the written warning was submitted on June 13th, how can you only give him 1 week to improve his show before you decide to terminate his time slot and move him?
Excuse me.
On June 21st.
Excuse me. The letter to him from Mr. Glanville is dated August 14th.
Okay. Now go before that. Was the first letter. The first letter I have, the information I have was June 13th. That's all I can go by.
And again, we do not send out the warnings. That is a Comcast issue.
Okay.
You need to
now, when this information was presented to you, what were the dates on the videos that you witnessed?
You'd have to go back and look it up. We don't
I don't
have that with
recall.
us.
I don't have everything.
Okay, that's something that would be very pertinent, because if you're going to submit a written warning to somebody and then move their show afterwards based on information and videos that were provided to you before the written warning was ever placed, how can you put someone in double jeopardy and penalize them twice? How can you even make that decision without knowing what the dates were in the clips that you were shown?
We don't write the letters. As I said, we watched clips. We determined it was adult programming.
You're not answering my questions.
I don't have that information in front of me.
Okay, well, I hope that will be addressed when you respond to my FOI that I handed out. The violations: failure to cancel a scheduled appointment, failure to label tapes, failure to deliver tapes, failure to meet the technical requirements of tapes, late return of remote video equipment, mishandling of equipment, eating, drinking, smoking in prohibited areas, failure to clean up after using facilities, entering areas established as being off limits, and failure to provide necessary number of crew members. Those are the things listed under the violations to be penalized. Now, under program content, it goes through for, I believe it's 4 pages. There's nothing in here after program content that says that if any of that content is not followed, there are penalties. You have no penalties for not following the program content, which is within your rules and regulations.
If you look at those rules and regulations, the part that you referenced first,
Right.
is including but not limited to.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I actually brought that up up here. Minor violations of the rules governing community access within a 12-month period will result in the following series of actions. And it lists A through D. That's under Section 2. When you go to Section 3, you're right, it says, but are not limited to. Section 2, which goes A through D with the 4 violations, does not have after it, but are not limited to. Therefore, you guys went beyond the 4 violation codes that are in your own book and moved this time slot when you do not have authority to do so within your own rules and regulations. It's not accurate? Well, then can you tell me,
But the time slot was moved based upon Connecticut general statute. It's
can
not
you
based
tell me
on...
where at the end of this sentence it says, but not limited to?
Minor violations,
Including an immediate 90-day suspension, these may include but are not limited to the following infractions, and then all that you just talked about.
Okay. So when you go over the infractions, where does it say moving time slots?
I just read to you, it says it may include the following infractions.
May include.
But not limited to, right, so.
The following infractions.
Including,
Infractions
but not limited
including,
to the following infractions or.
but not limited to, not the violations.
Sir,